So now we want to bring it all together. We're going to talk about simplifying expressions in general. This comes from sections 1.4 through 1.8 in the textbook. In order to be able to complete this section successfully, you want to know how to add, subtract, and multiply integers. You also want to be able to identify like terms. Upon completing this presentation, you will be able to simplify expressions involving 2 or more steps. Upon completing this presentation, you will be able to simplify expressions involving 2 or more steps. So our procedure, we want to start by using the distributive property to remove parentheses, and then we want to combine like terms. In some of the problems, you may want to rearrange the terms. Remember that each term keeps the same sign in the new expression as in the original. You do not change the signs of the terms. This is something that we will do only when solving equations, which we will talk about in the next few sections. So in general, the first thing that we want to do whenever we start by simplifying an expression in general is we want to use the distributive property to remove the parentheses and then combine like terms. Note that we are still following order of operations. If you want, for our distributive step, you can either think of this as parentheses, which always comes first, or you can think of it as multiplication. For our combined like terms, we are talking about adding and subtracting. And so in terms of order of operations, we are still doing the same thing that we did when we were just working with numbers. It's still the same concept. Now, there are a couple things you can do when we get into more complicated examples. If you choose to rearrange the terms, remember that each term keeps the same sign in the new expression as in the original. You do not change the signs of the terms. This is something that we will do only when solving equations, which we will talk about in the next few sections. So let's go ahead and look at some examples. If we look at the following examples, we have example A. We have 5 times 3x plus 7 plus 6x. So my first step is to go ahead and distribute to clear the parentheses. If we do this, we want to multiply everything inside the parentheses by 5. We get 15x. 5 times 7 is plus 35. We keep the plus 6x. That takes care of our distribution, and so now we want to combine like terms. So my like terms, I have 15x can combine with 6x, giving me 21x, and we bring down the 35. And we're done. We can't combine anything else. We have an x term, we have a constant term. Those cannot be combined. All right, let's look at example B. Example B, we have 6 times 2x plus 4y plus 10 times 4x plus 3y. Again, I want to start by getting rid of my parentheses or multiplying. So in the first one, we're going to get 6 times 2x is 12x. 6 times 4y is plus 24y plus 10 times 4x is 40x, and 10 times 3y is plus 30y. That takes care of our distribution, and now we want to go ahead and combine our like terms. We can combine 12x and 40x to give us 52x. 12 plus 40 is 52. Keep the x. We can also combine 24y and 30y to give us 54y. We cannot combine anything else, and so we are done. This is our final answer. Okay, so let's bring some negatives in here, just to kind of step up the difficulty just a little bit. So if we look at example C, we have 3 times 7x plus 8 plus negative 25x. Let's start by distributing. We get 3 times 7x is 21x. 3 times 8, we get 24. And I'm going to bring down my negative 25x. From here, we can combine like terms. We can combine 21x and negative 25x. These numbers, these terms, have different signs, so we are going to subtract the numbers. We get 4. We keep the sign of the larger number, which is the negative 25. We keep the x. Also, 24 did not have anything to combine with, so we're going to just bring it down into our final answer. So our final answer is negative 4x plus 24. All right, let's come over to example D. Example D, we also have some signs in here as well. And so just like on the previous problems, we want to start by distributing to clear parentheses. In the first set, we want to multiply everything by 5. So we get 5 times 2y is 10y. 5 times negative 9 is minus 45. Now for the second set, we want to make sure that we remember to distribute the negative to every term inside the parentheses. Essentially what we want to do is we want to subtract 9y. And I want to subtract negative 8, but remember that subtracting negative 8 is the same thing as adding 8. So however it helps you remember, negative times a negative, we get a positive. From here, we want to combine our like terms. We can combine 10y and negative 9y, gives us just 1y or y. We can also combine our negative 45 and positive 8. We have different signs, so we want to subtract the values. We get 37. My larger number is negative, and so we get y minus 37. We cannot do anything else, and so we are done with this problem. Let's go down to example E. Example E, we have 5 times 2x plus 7y minus 3 times 3x plus 5y. We're going to start by distributing. We want to clear our parentheses. So in the first set, I want to multiply everything by 5. We get 5 times 2x is 10x. 5 times 7y is 35y. In the second set, remember that we want to distribute negative 3 to everything inside the parentheses. So if we multiply everything inside the parentheses by negative 3, we get negative 3 times 3x is negative 9x. And negative 3 times 5y is minus 15y. From there, we can combine our like terms. We get 10x and negative 9x combines to give you 1x, or just x. And we have 35y minus 15y gives you plus 20y. And we're done with the problem. Now make sure that if you see problems like D and E on homework and on quizzes and on tests, that you do remember the rule about distributing the negative. Again, hint, 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 these are problems that I like to test you over, because this is one of the most common mistakes that students make. And it is something you do need to be familiar with before you finish hopefully this chapter, but hopefully definitely by the end of the semester. So now let's go ahead and look at another example. This is, we're going to extend the concept to stuff from section 1.8. Recall that square brackets are just another way to write parentheses. So when dealing with expressions that involve brackets and parentheses, remember you need to simplify inside first. Follow the rules for simplifying the expression inside the bracket, then repeat the process for the whole problem. Alright, so let's see what we can do here. If we look at example F, we have 18x squared plus 4 minus, and inside brackets we have 6 times parentheses x squared minus 2, close parentheses, plus 5. So again, the first thing I want to do is simplify inside the brackets, but we still need to follow our order of operations or a procedure for simplifying expressions inside. So we get, I'm going to bring down my 18x squared and my 4. We have 18x squared plus 4 minus, inside brackets we have 6 times x squared is 6x squared. 6 times negative 2 is minus 12 plus 5. Our next step, we want to go ahead and finish simplifying inside the brackets by combining like terms. I'm going to bring down my 18x squared plus 4. And now inside the brackets, I get 6x squared. It has nothing to combine with. I can combine negative 12 and positive 5, giving me negative 7. They have different signs. We're going to subtract and keep the sign of the larger number. Okay, so from here, now that we have completely simplified inside the brackets, now we want to look at the larger problem. So the next thing I need to do is get rid of the brackets. We are going to want to distribute, but what are we going to distribute? One thing to note that's a common mistake that I see on exams from students is a lot of people will try to distribute the 4. And here's the thing, is this 4 times all of this stuff? It's actually not, it's 4 minus all of this stuff. So the 4 is not going to get distributed. The only thing that we are going to distribute is the negative sign. So I'm going to bring down my 18x squared plus 4, it stays the same, and I distribute my negative, so we get minus 6x squared. We have minus negative 7 becomes plus 7. From there, we can go ahead and combine our like terms. we can combine 18x squared and negative 6x squared. Different signs we want to subtract. Keep the sign of the larger number, we get 12x squared. And we can also combine our constant terms. We have 4 and 7 combined to give us plus 11. And so that will be our final answer. We won't see very many problems like this, but the book kind of has some of them. And it's good to know just to get some extra practice on some problems that are just a little bit more complex. Alright, so that takes care of simplifying expressions. So when are we going to see this again? Simplifying expressions is fundamental to algebra, not only when working with basic expressions, but when solving equations. We will extend these concepts when we discuss rules of exponents and simplifying polynomials, as well as when working with rational and radical expressions and equations. Once you feel that you understand the material in this section, try the following problems on your own and bring your answers to class along with any questions that you have.